butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
Hi, my name is David. I'm over 9 years old and from the internet, and the book that I just read is The Complex by John Duignan. And in this book, John is really sad. And then he meets these people called Scientology who say that they will help him not be sad. And so he joins them. But after many years of deplorable living conditions and his friends being sent to labor camps, he stops liking the Scientology. And so he leaves them forever. My favorite part of the book is when John goes on the internet to learn about all the lies that Scientology tells. I like this part because I can also go on the internet and learn about all the lies that Scientology tells. And after reading this book, I had to tell all my friends, and they all read it and were very happy. But don't take my word for it. Okay, so here I am in front of the org, and I have with me The Complex, and I am going to read it in its entirety. It's 9:30 in the morning right now. I expect this is going to take about 12 hours, 11 hours to read through, and then probably an hour to get something to eat, because I'm going to be very hungry otherwise. I'm not going to be talking to anybody, even if other non show up. Well, if the police show up and start asking me questions, obviously I'm going to talk to them. But otherwise, it's to the book. And we will see what comes of it. So stick around.
Dublin, June 2006. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I sat in Dublin Airport, scanning the sea of faces in the departures lounge. Above my head, the monitor indicated that my flight to Cork was still delayed. The flight attendant at the boarding desk was telling another passenger that it looked like we were going to be there for a good while. Every minute was torture, and my body was wet with perspiration. Over the last few hours, I had played a terrifying game of cat and mouse, and I needed this delay like a hole in the head. I knew the team from the office. There's an unstated implication that those that made the lifetime commitment were somehow more purely dedicated to the mission than those of us who had signed up for only 2 years. We were warned that the decision was not to be taken lightly. If we broke our commitment, then we would be considered persona non grata and would no longer be allowed to communicate with anyone actively in the group. Other cultist aspects like this had begun to filter into the group around this time, but it took another 10 years before a California court case forced the group to acknowledge to its members that certain practices were cultish in nature. I held off on making the decision for some time, but then during a very emotional in the area in which I operate, I promised to demand that my fellow Sea Org members not fall short of the purpose, ideals, and spirit of the Sea Org. I promise to do my part to protect and further the image of the Sea Org. I promise to come to the defense of the Sea Org and fellow Sea Org members whenever needed. I promise through my actions to increase the power of the Sea Org and decrease the power of any enemy. I promise to make things go right and to persist until they do. My new rank was Swamper, and out of respect for my new process off by heart. Firstly, you need to get the guy in and do the free personality test. This test is a vital part of Scientology recruiting and is often referred to as the Oxford Capacity Analysis, though it has also absolutely nothing to do with the University of Oxford. The list of questions was there to measure aspects of a recruit's personality, including happiness, stability, and empathy. It also measures a person's ability to look at and handle life situations and communicate with others. Each answer is given a score, and nowadays the results are fed into a computer which produces a graph sheet analysis of the test which indicates 3 states: desirable, normal, or unacceptable. Most people who fill one in will find that they are mainly unacceptable. Then it was our job to point out to the person who smoked pot, he wrote, they couldn't make it in a Sea Org because they aren't just up to making it in life. So it was either find the ethical situation that was making me want to leave or join the gutter ranks of society. I found Hubbard's statements deeply troubling. I began to really question my motives and to worry a lot about doing badly and failing in life outside Scientology. I had plenty of time to contemplate these things as we carried out many different kinds of tasks around St. Hill Castle. These days holding a grand flag and marching display to announce those gathered there and the 10,000 watching via satellite that he had won the War of Wars. He described to us a U.S. government plot that took in the FBI, the IRS, the CIA, and the American Medical Association. It was a plot run by a group of powerful psychiatrists aimed at destroying the last and final bastion of man's freedom, the Church of Scientology and its founder, L. Ron Hubbard. Dressed in full black tie and silent. The moon in the car told me all I needed to know about what awaited me. I looked out at the familiar fields and played out the last week in my head. We had been set up for a loss when we had received the orders to print and mail this job in November. There was no way it could have been pulled off. We had done everything we could to salvage it and had eventually managed to get it done into a mailing house in less than 7 weeks. There was no way it was going to make the target date, however, because the job and the time frame were just unrealistic. Then again, I thought this was not the Sea Org attitude. I had sworn upon my EPF graduation to make things go right and persist until they do. So, no excuses. I had made it go wrong, and now I would have plenty of time to contemplate why I had allowed the job to fail. We drove to the church and installed NetNanny filtering software on all its personal computers to block out critical information about Scientology and Hubbard. A CD had also been sent out to every Scientologist in the world for setting up their very own Scientology internet site at home. The alleged idea was to make it easy to find other Scientologists and receive special offers on books and tapes. A massive majority ended up installing the system that had also contained NetNanny software to block out countless internet pages about OT levels, miscavige, and Scientology. I logged on to heat received. I was taken aback that Cruz, who after all lived in an incredibly privileged life and had never had to suffer the indignity of being a Sea Org staff member, could gain such aplomb only because he had a lot of money and had the eyes of the world on him. We had lived on so little, had no privacy, no time to chill out. We were in fear or under stress all the time, and we are not as dedicated as Cruz? That hurts. Putting it away, I decided that it was finally time to have a look at the OT3 materials on staffneck.org. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Typing in the 2 letters and 3 Roman numerals, I knew it would be a defining moment for me. Within seconds, I was looking at a copy of Hubbard's own handwriting. It looked like scrawling was partially illegible. It was followed by the transcript of this great secret that I had waited so many years to read. I could tell it was set to bring my world crashing about my feet. OT Level 3, told of Lord Xenu, the master of the Galactic Confederacy. I have resigned from the Church of Scientology. Since 2001, and with the minimum wage legislation taking effect in the UK, to avoid huge expense, OSA had our original Sea Org and staff contracts shredded. We had to sign new sets called voluntary commitments. My position became legally that of volunteer, and I have, with this writing, unvolunteered. Quite frankly, I have been lied to. Spending time with my family and being made aware of the truth about Hubbard, I know now, his lies about his war record, his lies about his adventures, his lies about his doctorate, his untruthful statements with regard to his actual agenda, his paranoia, his megalomania, and his disdain for others. If the man lied about himself, he cannot possibly come up with any truth with regard to mankind. I was directed to some very interesting data. Scientology was firmly on the world agenda, and as my confidence grew, an organization called Anonymous emerged. Anonymous are really a viral marketing version of a human rights movement. It is made up of regular people from all professions, creeds, and religions across the world who have decided to stand up and say this is enough. I think this internet-based group of wonderful activists will prove to be Scientology's nemesis. They believe in the right to freedom of speech and fight organizations that... I am now a suppressive person, and as a result, I am fair game. Just as Paulette Cooper and so many others have discovered in the past, this means that any Scientologist has the right to damage and even kill me without fear of censure from any church, executive, or committee. Most Scientologists are law-abiding people, but not all of them are, and I know there is always a risk. The Church of Scientology works on the principle of bullying and instilling fear and threat, but I am no longer scared. I have come through some extreme experiences, and I learned how to face them down. Every day, even on my bad and dark days, I experience a sense of tremendous liberty. I can and often do drive down into town on a whim, go to an expensive restaurant and have an exquisite meal. I relish the freedom I have to do this simple thing. Sometimes I just get in my car and drive to the Kerry Mountains just because I can. I value this. It is called freedom, and I would protect and fight for this right for me and for others. Complex Red. Fuck them.